All right, this is the start of Unit 7, Data Analysis. This is the video for 7.1 and 7.2, Mean, Mode, Median, and Range. I'm going to combine this into one lesson. So the three that start with M, mean, mode, and median, they are known as measures of central tendency. We often call this the average. So you might have heard of average. I'm going to insert one of my favorite jokes. Calling someone average is just plain mean, because mean is a type of average. Mode is as well, and median. Now this would be trying to find the average is finding a number that represents all the numbers in the set of numbers evenly. I'm going to give a definition of each of these words, these four words up here, the three measures of central tendency, and then the range, just so that we know what we're working with as we do some problems. And I'll use an example just as we go to illustrate it. All right, so let's look at this example. These numbers, they could represent a lot of different things. One of them could be maybe points that Timmy scores in his basketball games. So the first game he scored 3 points, the next one he scored 4, next one he scored 4, next game he scored 3, fifth game he scored 5, sixth game he scored 5, and seventh game he scored 4. So maybe they want to calculate some averages for this. We're going to look at mean first. Let's look at mean. So the first type of measure of central tendency is mean. This one is kind of the most complicated one to calculate sometimes. So let's look at this. So the mean, this is how it works. It is equal to the sum of terms. In other words, add all of these terms up and then divide by the number of terms. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So for this example, the mean would equal the sum of the terms. So you would add them all up, 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 4, and divide it by 7 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So looking here, 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 4 is 11, 14, 19, 24, and 28. So it's 28 on the top, all that added up, divided by 7. So 28 divided by 7 is 4. So 4 would be your mean. Okay, so the mean equals 4 in this case. There are a few different ways you can also do this. I'll have some examples where I'll show that. But you'll notice that you have 2 5s, which are 1 more than 4, and you have 2 3s that are 1 less than 4. Which means that for every one that this is above, there's one that has one that's less. I'll explain that with other examples. Let's look at the second type. It's called the mode. This, in my opinion, is the easiest to calculate. Why? Because it's just the number that there's the most of. So if we look at these sets, there's how many 3s? There's 3 3s, there's 2 of them. 4s, there's 1, 2, 3 of them. And 5s, there's 2 of them. Okay, how many of them are there? There's 2. Which one is there the most of? 4s. There's 3 4s. There's more 4s. So in this case, the mode is 4. Okay, some might ask, what happens if there's 2 numbers that there's more of? So for this example, let's pretend that there's just 1 4. Let's get rid of these 2 4s. So we have 3, 3, 5, 5, 4. There's 2 3s, there's 2 5s, but only 1 4. You would have 2 modes. You'd have 3 and 5. Both would be modes if we got rid of those 2 4s. Okay. What happens then if there's just the same amount of all of them? Let's say I got rid of this final 4, and our set now has 6 numbers. There's 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. There's 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s. Because they have all the exact same amount, you would write no mode. You'd write NO, MODE for your answer. Because there would be no number in the set that is more common than others. because there's no number that's more common, there would be no mode. So mode is just which is the most common. And so it's pretty easy often to look at. You just kind of count how many of each of the numbers there are, and then, oh, there it is. Okay. Median. This one sometimes takes a little work, but it's also a simpler one. So the median is the middle number of all the sets. So if you order them from least to greatest or greatest to least, and you look at the middle number, it would be the middle number. Now, if it's an even number, you know that there'd be two middle numbers, and so then you'd have to calculate the mean average of the middle numbers. So pick the thing that's directly in the middle, the exact middle. So let's look at this set again. The first step for doing median is you need to order them from least to greatest or greatest to least. I like least to greatest. So we have 2 3s if we remember, right? We already figured that out in mode. So let's go 3, 3. Then what's the next bigger number? 4. How many are there? There's 3 of them. So we're going to have 4, 4, 4, 4. And finally 5, there's 2 of them. Okay? So I've put them from least to greatest. I still have my 7 numbers. And one way you can do it is just take off one from each side until you get to that middle number, and that middle number will be your median. So median is 4. Okay. What happens if there's another one? You need to calculate the average of mean. So I'm going to do a tiny little example just on the side here. What if your number set was 4, and I'm going to put them in order so it's easier. What if it was 4, 5, 6, 7? Let's say that's the number set. You cancel out 1, 2, and now you have 2 numbers that are in the middle. You need to find the average of this. So that would mean finding the mean average. So what's the mean of this? 5 plus 6, and how many numbers are there? There's 2 of those. So it'd be 5 plus 6 is 11 divided by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, and 10 divided by 2 is 5, so it's 5.5. That's what your median would be in this case. It's the number that's right between. Quick way to do this, there's only one apart, so just put a 0.5 on the one that's less. 5, and then put a 0.5 because it's halfway between. What happens if there's a gap between them? So for example, let's do 4, 5, 7, 8. You'd cancel those out, and you have 5 and 7. What's the number exactly between 5 and 7? The exact middle? It would be 6, right? Because 5, 6, 7, it's the number right between. So it would be 6. That's what our median would be in this case. Now I've got 3 ways to kind of remember which one of these are which, the mean, mode, and the median. For the mode, if you notice, mode starts with M-O and has 4 letters, right? It's starts, and it's the most common, right? Mode, most, 4 letters, both start with M-O. That's how I remember mode. The median, you'll notice that it's the middle, has 6 letters, okay? And median has how many letters? 6, okay? They have the same amount of letters. Now mean is the one that you'll just need to remember is the other one, the one that's a little more complicated. You need to do a little more math to calculate. It is often the most common one that's used when people people say average, they often mean. So you think, what does average mean? It's usually mean, even though these other 2 are measures of central tendency. And finally, range. This is your largest value, subtract your least value, the smallest one, okay? So you take the biggest value in the set and you subtract the least. So looking back here at this example, which is the largest? It's 5, and which is the least? It's 3. So we take our largest and we subtract least, so it's going to be 5 subtract 2. So our range, 3 I meant to say, 3. Our range would be 2. Our range is 5 subtract 3 is 2. So that's the amount that the data points are different from each other. They're only different by 2 from the least to the greatest. Least to greatest. The mean is... The mean is the one that will sometimes, be a number that isn't necessarily in the set. Sometimes you're going to do this calculation and you're going to get some decimals. And if you look, none of the numbers will be the mean. For example, I heard some statistics where a province has 2.63 people per square kilometer. That doesn't mean that there's like 0.6 of a person somewhere. It just means that if you divide it all up evenly between all the square kilometers, you'd have that on mean average that many people. Whereas the mode and the median, the mode will always be a number that's in the set. Why? Because it has to be the most common. It has to be there. It has to be one of these numbers. The median, if it's an odd number of ones here, numbers in the set, that means that the median would have to be one of these numbers. Whereas if it's an even number, like these examples we did here, sometimes it's not going to be one of the numbers you find in the set. And the range is kind of a separate sort of thing. It's not necessarily going to be a number in the set. All right, here's an example. It says below is a list of the number of students in the classes at Central Elementary School. So there's 21, 18, 21, 23, 29, 30, 24, 21, 20, and 24 students in each of the classes, respectively. Find the mean, median, mode, and range. So there's going to be 4 things we're finding. Let's start with the easy one, mode. Okay, I'm going to do mode first. We're going to count up how many there are of each. So if we look, 21, how many 21s are there? There's 1, 2, 3. 18s, there's just one of them. We already did 21. Next is 23. How many are there? Just one. 29. How many are there? Just one. 30. It's just one of them. Next is 24. There are 2 of them. We already did 21 right there. And 20 we didn't do yet. So 20 is 1. And just to make sure, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I didn't mix that up. So just looking here. Oh, 24. There's more 24s. Does that mean there's the mode? No, it does not. The mode would be this one up here that has the most. Just because this one has more than these other ones doesn't mean it's necessarily the mode. The one that is the mode is the one that is the most. So the mode is 21. So there's our answer. Let's put a box around it just to make it stand out. And this is just showing our work. We have some room on the side. I'm going to use this to figure out the median. Let's do that one because I think that is the next easiest. So the median is to take these and put them in order from least to greatest. I like to do my mode first as well because then I can actually use this for writing it down. I can look here and see, okay, which number is the least number? 18. And how many are there? There's 1. So I'm going to take 18 and write it 1 time. Next number is 20. And there's how many? Just 1 of them. 21, there's 3 of them, so I'm going to write down 21 3 times. Remember, we put this from least to greatest so that we can find the middle number. Next bigger is 23, and there's just 1 of them. 24 is the next number, and there's 2 of them, so write down 24 twice. And finally, 29 and 30. If you are using pencil, you can maybe put little check marks beside as you do so you don't mix it up. And just to make sure, how many numbers are there? There's 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure that the amount that there is total would line up. All right. So then we just chop off the ones on the end, one at a time until we get to the middle 2 numbers. Oh, because we know it's even, there's going to be 2. And we need to find the average of that. So one way you can do it is just write down all the numbers that are in the list till you get from one to the other. And whatever number's in the middle, that's the one. So the median here is 22 because it's the average. The other way to do this is go 21 plus 23 and divide by those 2 numbers. So 21 plus 23 is 44 divided by 2 is 22. You'd get to that same number. which is your median. Let's do the mean. Mean, you just need to add up all those numbers and then divide by the number that there are. So add all of these up. I like to put it in the column and add it up that way. So I just wrote them in the column, and I'm going to just start adding up. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 1 is 10, 13, 22, 26, 27, out of breath, and 31. So 1 there, and 3. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So it's 231. Okay. So we take that 231 and we're going to divide by, there was 10 numbers, right? So divide by 10. So this is, move the decimal over 1. We learned that earlier in the year. 23.1 is our mean. So our mean is 23.1. Nice and easy there. So that's our mean. And finally, range, the easiest to calculate other than mode perhaps. We just take our biggest number and subtract our least. So looking at these, which one's the biggest? It's 30. Which one's our least? 18. So this is going to be 13 subtract 18, which is 12. So our range equals 12. And that's how we'll solve these. You'll notice the median is not one of the numbers that's in this set of numbers. The mode is the one that's the most common. Mean is not one of those, and it's got some strange decimal. And finally, the range, it's going to be the greatest and the least, the difference between those numbers. So that is lesson 7.1 and 7.2, mean, median, mode, and range.